For the most part, the Lower Bann is slow and shallow, ideal for small boats and barges. But at a few places, at the Cuts, Carnroe, Movanagher and Portna, geology throws slabs of rock across the river, creating dangerous shallows and fast water. In the 1840s, an ambitious scheme was started to bypass these obstacles. Canals were dug at the Cuts, Carnroe, Movanagher and Portna, and lock gates were put in to compensate for the changes of level. The rocks were brought here by horse and cart and chiselled into place on the site. At night the men gathered themselves in their coats and slept in the lee of the blocks. The canal was built at the time of the famine, and famine relief was one of the justifications for the scheme. But the chief engineer complained that with illness and with emigration he found it hard to find enough men to complete the task. The chief purpose of the canal was to open up trade all along the river, but by the time it was commenced, the railway had already reached Ballymena. By the time it was completed, a bridge at Coleraine had taken trains all the way to Derry. Trade's not the only reason to alter the structure of the river. Flood has always been a major concern, and still is, as the modern floodgates show. In the 1920s, an ambitious scheme known as Shepherd's Scheme was launched to try and lower the bed of the river. It was a huge undertaking. A great barrier of sandbanks was built all along the centre of the river. A dam was then set to leave one side of the river dry. Teams of men were sent in with explosives and then with picks and shovels, loading rocks and mud and silt into barrows. Cranes shifted the material up onto the shore, where it was dumped along the banks of the river. The material from the bottom of the river was heaped along the banks, and as the operation progressed from Portglenone to Coleraine, these Bann dumps were created all along the banks. All the material from the bottom of the river changed good agricultural land into poor land. Now there was only one possible use for it, and that was forestry. And so the forest from the bottom of the river was born. A team of men followed the Bann dumps all the way down the river, planting as they went. They planted hardwoods on the outside and conifers on the inside. The purpose of the conifers was quite clearly timber production. All those trees planted along the banks of the Bann in the 1930s have now reached maturity. The Forest Service is busy felling those very trees. There is a timber industry in the Bann Valley for the first time since the 17th century.